Visitors a day here, seemingly with one single thought.
Do you know who's in boat?
Do you know who's on that boat?
Who's on the boat?
I don't know who arrives with this boat.
I don't know who arrives with it either.
Quel âge d'or qu'il y a sur ce bateau?
The presence of our television camera had convinced the crowd that a famous name was in town. Not wanting to disappoint, we kept quiet. Well, no one on deck seems to mind being gawped at. In fact, I think they positively encourage it. Because if you were moored in a harbour where the average value of vessels was said to be, £12 million, wouldn't you want everyone to know? Celebrity spotting doesn't stop there. 50 francs will buy you a trip along the coast, a chance to see the star's private hideaways. George Michael has a £2 million mansion here. Elton John's a regular visitor too. The celebrity circus really began here in the late 50s when Brigitte Bardot introduced Tropez to the world in the film And God Created Woman. Well, she's still something of a legend in these parts, and she just lives over there. Losing your privacy is the price you pay for being famous, and in Tropez, everyone is fair game. Who's on the boat? When not on the water or in their private villas, you may find a star or two at one of Tropez's more prestigious hotels. When it comes to accommodation in Tropez, it doesn't get much more exclusive than this. The Hotel Byblos is the place to stay and the place to part with your money. A mid-price room like this will set you back about £500 a night. Good gracious. The Byblos also houses the most famous and exclusive nightclub in town, The Cave. It's free to get in, though at £15 for a glass of mineral water, the clientele have a certain je ne sais quoi. Money, perhaps. Many people with sensible budgets stay on the outskirts of town, and the prize for best budget accommodation must go to the many excellent campsites. Inside, all the tents have electricity, basic cooking equipment, gas hob, a grill and all the necessary utensils. And comfortably, it sleeps 5, but you do have to bring all your own bed linen. It's not quite the Byblos, but then again, neither are the prices. But you do get a pool. Of course, with camping, there's a good chance you'll be self-catering. How do you find the market here?
Well, it's lovely, but it's, with the way the franc's going at the moment, it's not quite as cheap as it used to be, but no, there's lovely things to buy. We had a very expensive meal last week on the beach in Tropez. Sylvester Stallone was sitting 2 tables away, so that made it a bit more exciting. So perhaps it was worth paying the money, I think so.
Sly Stallone, at last we hit on the trail of a real-life celeb. A good tip, try the beach. The beaches are a short drive from the main town. This is the most popular, Pampelonne. All the areas are open to the public, but some parts of it are rented out to so-called beach clubs, which means that you can sit for nothing on this side of the fence, or pay £10 for a sun lounger and a parasol, and maybe the chance to sit next to George Michael or Claudia Schiffer on this side of the fence. Sadly, they weren't there. Neither was Stallone. But this is the beach club favoured by the big names. Tahiti Beach is just as crowded as the public areas, but then again, you do get access to designer fashion shops and the best gold and silver to highlight your bronze. By mid-afternoon, who's on the boat becomes who's in the car. 12,000 cars a day crawl in at the height of summer. Wealth is on display everywhere. And whether you participate or spectate, a quayside seat is de rigueur, so arrive early. The back streets are filled with designer boutiques, just like that scene from Pretty Woman. All I needed was Richard Gere and his credit card. Celebrity spotting continues late into the night. New boats have moored and new faces are in town.
You read stories about how Tropez has changed over the years, but when you come here, it's really quite exciting.
Have you seen any stars yet?
Yes, we saw Joan Collins on the first day we were here. She was looking at yachts, and she really looked the part. She had the big straw hat on, the sunglasses, and I recognise her by the cheekbones. She looks as wonderful as her pictures.
Just something like a dynasty, exactly. It's what everybody said it's all about, isn't it? It's the money, the boats.
Very exciting. It's really buzzy.
Who's on the boat? Surely they know by now. It's whoever you want it to be. Hey, Isn't that Naomi Campbell? Well, if you want to visit Saint-Tropez the inexpensive way, it costs from £82 per person, based on a family of 4, staying 12 nights this summer at the Camping Park Montana. That price includes your ferry crossing from Ramsgate to Dunkirk. But if you are one of the winners of the rollover lottery this week, you may be interested to know that the Byblos Hotel costs from £155 a night per person, without so much as a continental breakfast. Getting ready to go on holiday can be a nightmare. There's the shopping, the washing, the packing, the chores seem endless. And when we actually do arrive, well, we often feel we've earned the rest. But if you're disabled, it takes more than a few simple errands to get ready. And when you get there, well, it takes spirit, stamina, and serious planning to get to see and do the things that many of us take for granted. Margaret Tebbit set off for the resort of Tiberias in northern Israel.
Hello, Norman. We're here.
Hello.
Paula's with me. I've just realised this is the first time I've been travelling without you.
Oh, you'll be all right.
Yeah, of course I'll manage all right. But you'll look after the dog, won't you?
No, he's going to look after me.
And I'll see you next week.
Passengers travelling with El Al to Tel Aviv on flight NY216.
All right, well done.
Please go now to gate 23.
I'm a firm believer that anyone can travel anywhere as long as you plan your trip carefully. A phone call to the airline before you travel will alert them to any special needs. And there's no reason why you shouldn't stay in the comfort of your own chair, right until the time you board the plane. The last time I came to Israel, I came with my husband, and I was not in a wheelchair, and it was to Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. So it's very different this time. Paula and I are staying at Tiberias on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. I say, our first challenge, a boat trip on the lake. Do you think it'd be possible to get the wheelchair onto the boat? Problem, dear. And it wasn't a problem with so many willing hands. After all, it's people that make access possible. Marvellous scenery. It's much more built up, though, than I expected.
That man that lifted you in with a beard, he was changing into Jesus.
And Jesus demonstrates the ancient fishing method that dates back to biblical times. For the rest of our stay, we splashed out and hired a car with a guide who took us to one of the area's most important religious sites.
So we were about to enter the Church of the Multiplication of Fish and Loaves.
Yeah, we'll have to turn round
the
here,
fourth
Paula.
one on the spot. Yeah, allow me. There we are.
Yes.
The fourth one on the spot, on the side here, which I will explain inside. There we are. The mosaic floor which you're about to see dates back to the 4th century. At least this is what we were told by the archaeologists. And we have to cut the word. I personally wasn't here at that time, so no. Over there in the center, under the altar, we see the remaining piece of rock upon which the miracle of the fish and loaves took place.
St. Peter's fish is a speciality here, and Paula and I were looking forward to trying it in one of the many shoreline restaurants. Do you think you could prepare mine and cut it a bit for me? Because I find it difficult to eat. Take it off the bone. Yeah.
Here?
Yep. That's great. Just leave it on there. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
And when you finish here, I'll bring you down.
Okay.
Right. Straight to Israel, shall we?
Go home.
Go home.
There are several hotels in Tiberias that have facilities for wheelchair users. It's so important to get the room right, to get the beds a reasonable size. Those are a bit low, but they're quite adequate. But the real problem here is the bathroom. Although it looks a fair size, we had problems getting the wheelchair in. We've been told the artist quarters of Safat was an interesting place to visit, but we hadn't been told it was tucked away in the back streets of town. Is it like this all the way up?
Yes, I'm afraid it is like that. It's a very nice, narrow, cobbled alley of Safat, but this is how it is.
I wonder... What do you think, Paula, about this?
Well, I'm willing to try if you want to.
Well, we'll have a go, shall we?
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
Bit bumpy, isn't it?
It's a bit bumpy, isn't it?
So far. Oh, I don't think it's going to go through here.
No. Too narrow. No. Don't cut my tyres, Paula.
I don't think we should attempt the sides either, because the steps are even higher.
I'm sure you shouldn't, actually.
No. Oh, well, we'll
Right.
go back down.
That's sad. I really wanted to go there. Instead, our guide drove us to the Golan Heights.
We are now driving alongside the Israeli-Jordanian border, which was put here because of the fear many years ago that people from the other side may try to infiltrate for negative purposes.
They say the border fence will be removed in time, but for now it's a reminder of Israel's troubled past. That fabulous drive coming up through the roads there and the hills and seeing the border, I felt I really should sort of say, Margaret Tebbit reporting from the Golan Heights. It really is marvellous to see places that you've only really seen on the television.
A week at the Holiday Inn in Tiberias this summer cost from £521, including scheduled flights and an Israeli breakfast, which is even bigger than an English one. Now, if, like Margaret Tebbit, you use a wheelchair or have other special needs, you may find our free Disabled Traveller booklet helpful. Just send a self-addressed envelope with 62p worth of stamps to Disabled Traveller, P.O. Box 7, London W5 2GQ. Now, we've searched high and low for a bunch of really inexpensive holidays, and this is what we've come up with. First up, Disneyland Paris. £59 buys you 3 nights at the Hotel Cheyenne, a 2-day entrance pass to the park, and a return crossing on Le Shuttle. That's for 2 adults and 2 children sharing a room, with arrivals on the 4th to the 6th or the 11th to the 13th of February. For £48 or just £2.30 each per night, you can have a 3-week camping holiday in the Dordogne region of France. That price is based on a family of 4. It's even cheaper if there are 6 of you, and includes your ferry and tented accommodation. The offer is available for arrivals between the 15th and the 17th of May. Or how about this? £39 for a 3-day cruise to Santander in Spain. This £40 saving is available if you go before the end of March, and there's a free digital mobile phone thrown in for good measure. Sailings are from Plymouth or Portsmouth. And finally, £89 buys a 1-week holiday in the Algarve next month, when the weather is usually reasonably warm and sunny. The price includes flights from Gatwick and 2-star self-catering accommodation. Departure is on the 8th of February. It's an island where you can still have freshly caught kippers for breakfast, where you can buy a tram ticket instead of a bus pass, and where you don't need to worry about locking your car, let alone having it clamped. The Isle of Man seems to have a lot going for it, and one person who knows it better than most is Kevin Woodford. He lives there, and so he gives us the insider's view.
This place has its own government, its own money, it's superstitious, and the locals talk to fairies. There are sheep with 4 horns, cats with no tails, and it's famous for racing. And yet, the trams are pulled by horses and the trains are powered by steam. A visit to the Isle of Man is like stepping back in time, and the Manx Electric Railway dating back to the 1800s is a classic example of this.
Well worth a visit, this island.
So what's so
I've
good
waited
about
for
it?
years for this. We suddenly decided we'd have a trip to the north. I think the Isle of Man's ideal. I really do, because you can have a week's good holiday here and never cover the same game twice.
From this part of the island, I can see 7 kingdoms. Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, the Kingdom of Man, the Kingdom of the Sea, and the Kingdom of Heaven. 1 horsepower is still in fashion here. Older still than the railway are these trams that run along the prom at Douglas. Or, for state-of-the-art travel, Manx style, head south on the narrow gauge railway. But some things have been around forever on this Isle of mine. Hello, little people. Now this is Ferry Bridge, and this is the home of the fairies in the Isle of Man. And because of the superstition of the people here, everybody says hello to the fairies. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this. Even the TT bike riders talk to the fairies. During TT week, the roads are closed off, but for the rest of the year, enjoy them. But do remember that some people like to have their own version of the race. I love living here because it's a small island. All 26 beaches, sheltered coves and rock pools are practically on your doorstep. The national glens enable you to explore the very heart of the island. It's peaceful and quiet, and I love the pace and quality of life. And if, like me, you're a golfer, you'll be spoiled for choice with 8 superb courses. At last, the 18th, but I'm much more interested in finding the 19th. And you know, it's hard to believe, isn't it, that only 6 hours ago, this was swimming in there. Now, I love kippers for breakfast, and Manx kippers are famous the whole world over. Now, as a smoker of herrings, what's your favourite way of eating them?
A couple of rounds of toast, and I like to put lemon and lime marmalade on the toast. Then I like to take the flesh of the kipper when he's been in the microwave for 1.5 minutes, put that onto the toast, and have that on the toast. I love that, that's gorgeous.
I can see a new career for you. And for pudding? Manx ice cream is made from the finest ingredients, and in my opinion, it's the best in the world. Nigel Mansell built a house on the hill overlooking Port Erin, and it's one of my favourite spots on the island too. The Princess Hotel sits on the bay and is especially great for the family. Most evenings the children are entertained, while the grown-ups make use of the hotel's other facilities. Oh, well, if you can't beat them, join them. That's what I say. Cheers.
A night's half-board at the Port Erin Princess Hotel costs £31.95. Ferry crossings from Liverpool or Heysham cost from £267 for a car and 4 passengers. Or alternatively, you could drive to Liverpool and fly across for £80 each. Details of all the holidays on tonight's show are on CFAX, page 617. Passport, airline tickets, driving licence. That was all the equipment they needed when they waved goodbye to Scotland and travelled to the world's largest island, Australia. And when they got there, they abandoned the bus, plane and train timetables and instead climbed behind the wheel of a car. 2 adventurous Sheilas called Carol and Kirsty embarked on a holiday you won't find in the travel brochures.
So what is it we're supposed to be doing again?
Well, I reckon somebody in the office has been down the video shop because they thought that you and I could be Thelma and Louise.
We're no Gina Davis, honey. We're not even in America.
Don't get technical, we're just going to do Australia instead. In fact, the Great Ocean Road. It's very beautiful, you know.
Is it? Who told you?
I read it in a book.
Didn't know you could read.
Okay, where do you fancy going next?
Well, you know, I heard there's an amazing place round about this area called the 12 Apostles. It's supposed to be spectacular.
This is a holiday, not a pilgrimage.
No, really, it's meant to be gorgeous. I just wonder, I don't know if we're anywhere nearby.
Don't know. I'll check the map.
Hang on,
If this is the 12 apostles, then how come there are only 9 of them?
Well, that's because the others have eroded away. The seas can get very rough around here, you know.
Which is why I suppose they also call it the shipwreck coast.
Hey, did you know Elle Macpherson came from Oz?
Yeah, right, love. So did Dame Edna, don't forget.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for a bit of adventure, but does it have to be at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Well, you see, you've got to be up early, you know, if you want to catch the Australian duck-billed platypus, wherever he is.
Get her. What are the chances of actually seeing one completely, or is it just going to be the top of the head or the flip of the tail?
Oh, they're very elusive. Most Australians have never seen a platypus in the wild.
Is that one over there?
No.
Yeah.
First ones taken back to Europe when zoologists first discovered them were thought to have been a hoax, but with the bill of a duck and the fur of a mammal, they couldn't work it out.
The guide said that ripple was a platypus.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to make us feel better about getting up at 6 in the morning.
Anyway, back for breakfast.
Milk, I think. Look at you. You're like something out of Little House on the Prairie.
I love that cottage, straight from the pages of House and Garden magazine.
I wouldn't have minded staying longer. However, onwards, continuing inland.
God, these Scots get everywhere.
Do you reckon there's any platypus in there then?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there are any platypus in the whole of Australia, mate. Do you reckon this is quite safe then?
You sounded just a tad nervous there.
Took all my courage to edge out this way, and I'm not going right to the edge.
You're a girl's blouse.
I know, it's pathetic. If you could just dangle off the end, and I'll take your photo.
Robert Barber's farm's in bush country. It's 9,000 acres. That's 25 times as big as Hyde Park, and it takes 2 hours to drive around.
When people come to stay on the farm, do they join in?
Yeah, all right, everyone, you know, give us a hand. And
so would there be anything that we could do?
well, I suppose we could send you out round a few sheep, you know. If you think I could trust the horses to come home.
As long as you can
the
trust the
horses are not your
I'm not
problem.
worried about the girls, but I'm more worried about the horses.
Very much, Robert.
Actually.
Kirsty, come on, time to get up.
What? Is it platypus? What?
Okay, you women, I want you to get 500 sheep for me, 20 minutes. Get going. Righto.
There are 5,000 head of merino sheep on this farm.
Which produce some of the finest wool in the world. And where does all this wool go?
Well, it goes to Italy to make expensive suits. Can't you hear them? Annie.
Well, this is it.
There they are, all 500 of them. I only hope it's this dog. Come on, Ginny. Ginny. Go back. Go back. Come on.
Right, every woman for herself. Go on. Come on. Get back in there.
Ginny, go through.
No, this way. No, that way. Oh, nightmare. The dog's got them at that end. No. Stay still. 1, 2.
We got them.
Doodle, mate. Doodle.
You know, Carol, we showed those guys. We really did show them.
Fancy a cuppa?
Oh, yeah.
Rounding up sheep isn't the only activity provided at Glen Isla.
We agreed to meet Robert at a picnic area near the farm for a special introduction.
You're not singing, just dancing. Get on with it. They'll never be hung up like my man and me. Oh yeah. My man and me. Oh yeah. Oh, young gods, run free. They'll never be hung up like my man and me. My man and me. My man and me. Why do you always sing that first?
I just love it because I'm anticipating her. I'm excited.
We could get our own show after this, you know.
I think so.
I'm convinced of it.
Really? Oh. Oh, wow. Somebody's got an itch. Look at this. Whoa.
This is pretty big.
Yeah, he's not too bad. He's right. He's a male kangaroo. And if you see, there he is. Now, if you just rub him like that.
He doesn't bite?
No, he won't bite. You'll notice his ears. They can turn around every direction. Each ear operates independently. That's right.
It doesn't like my perfume. I know.
He might be attracted to it, you know.
You better watch out.
Yeah. Oh, he quite likes it, actually, doesn't it? It's
a bit of a flirt, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
Is
right.
that Calvin Klein, darling?
Yes, I think I smell Chanel.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't catch us feeding them. Robert did tell us that it's very bad for them.
Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Can you see what it is yet?
Beautiful, you know, you don't see that on Sucky Hall Street, Carol. True.
Wow. Hold on. Is that a Japanese tourist bus?
Nah. I think it's a platypus. Well, if you fancy taking to the Great Ocean Road, a return flight to Melbourne costs from £733 and the car hire from £29 per day. A night at Glen Isla Farm is £49, including breakfast, the guided tours and all the farm activities, but dinner's extra at £12.25. And Kirsty and Carol paid £20 each for their night at the Allenvale Cottages. Well, that's all from us for this week. Next week, I'm in Morocco for a rather exotic holiday, staying in the beach resort of Essaouira. Paul Gogarty's in the Caribbean, marvelling at the gigantic waterfalls and rainforests of Guyana. Carol joins a coachload of holidaymakers in the Costa Brava, whose trip costs less than £150. And Kirsty takes to the skies when she learns to hang glide. So until next week, goodbye.
And you can see all that next Tuesday night at 7.